My living room and kitchen, and I'm in a mess, so I don't know what time it is.
They're redoing my office right now, Betty. I completely get it. There's stuff everywhere.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God.
Oh,
Okay, Brianna, let me know when we're ready.
We are live now.
Oh, okay. So I'll call the meeting to order, and I need an adoption of the agenda, that the agenda for October 8th meeting of the Community Development Committee be adopted. Can I have someone move and second, please?
I shall move.
Dennis?
Second.
Alan? Anyone opposed? Thank you. Disclosures.
Betty, I just had one thing I wanted to add there under other business, perhaps. An email just came out from Minister Lisa MacLeod that she's putting up $9 million for economic development reasons. I think we should look into it.
Okay. That might be the RTOs, I'm not sure, but anyways, we definitely need to look into it. Any monies that are available are good monies. Okay, so we'll add that under other business, Richard. So do we have any disclosures of pecuniary interest or the nature of? Seeing none. Adoptions of the minutes. So the minutes of August 13th. Has everyone had a chance to read them? Is there any errors, omissions? Or would someone move that we accept them?
Again.
Alan,
I'll second.
seconder. Barry, anyone opposed? Thank you. Okay, now we have the minutes of the meeting of August 28th also be adopted. Is there any issues with that? And has everybody had a chance to read them? If they have, can I have someone move and second, please?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Barry, Dennis, anyone opposed? Super. Okay, deputations or presentations. Mr. Ian Shelley, engagement lead, Blackline, will address the community development regarding the economic development service review.
And Madam Chair, if you don't mind, I'll just provide a bit of context
Thank you very much.
Ian starts. We have both Ian and his colleague Graham here today to speak with the committee. Earlier this year, the provincial government released funding for service reviews, ability to understand capacity and efficiency of service delivery across Ontario and municipalities. We were able to access that funding for the purpose of looking at how we deliver economic development services in Frontenac County, and to determine which services are the most important or that the county is most well positioned to deliver on, as some services are better delivered by other organizations, maybe lower tier municipalities, but with our current resources, we have to be able to prioritize or develop a plan for additional capacity in some sense. So we, as you can see in the report, we have some questions that Ian will take you through, but ultimately what we're looking for is to really understand what the county's role in economic development will look like in the short to midterm future, I think, and with some indications maybe at the long-term future. So that's why we're engaging the committee today. I believe the consultants, so Ian and Graham, have spoken with other municipalities who are similar size or similar kind of rural makeup to us. They've also spoken with the CAOs and economic development staff, if they exist, at the various township levels, the CFDC, the mayors, and a few of our economic development and tourism colleagues in adjacent municipalities. So without further ado, unless there are any questions about the approach from our departmental standpoint, I will introduce Ian and Graham and let them explain how they do what they do and what the purpose is for what they hope to get from you today. No questions? Okay, so Ian and Graham, I'll let you take it away and I'll let you lead the discussion with the committee.
Thanks, Richard. Good morning, committee. I'm going to put Graham on the spot straight away, and I think to give a little bit of an introduction, and then I'll carry on with the discussion.
Hi, my name is Graham Pressey. I'm a senior consultant at Blackline. In terms of my background, I've been with my background's in research, data analysis, that sort of thing, and I'm pretty excited to be working on this project with Frontenac.
You've just hit mute, Graham.
Sorry, was I cut off there?
Yeah, I just want to mute briefly.
Okay. Yeah, so my background's in research, data analysis, and I'm pretty excited to be working on this project with everybody here.
Well, good morning, everyone. Ian Shelley. As was introduced at the beginning, from a Blackline perspective, I'm responsible for the work that we're doing with Frontenac at the moment. Responsible or irresponsible, that's your choice, I guess, at this point. As Richard has introduced, the work we're doing is really to give an external opinion on where Frontenac could and should focus from an economic development perspective at a county level. And we've started that out with a very broad-based consultation, and Richard's walked you through the various individuals that we've tried to access, really asking opinions both on effectiveness today, priorities, focus. The questions are what should we doing, what are we doing well, what should we start, what should we stop, those sort of questions. And that focus is within the county. Questions surrounding the county really are about their experience, some of the choices that they've made. So we spoke with people such as Prince Edward County, Hastings, those sort of surrounding organizations to ask them how they'd made some of these choices, what are the factors that they'd taken into account to decide where they would focus, because no matter where you are, resource is always limited and choices always have to be made. So that's really been the consultation today. We've got the opportunity now to bring that discussion to yourselves and solicit your opinions. And I believe Alison had sort of distributed a 5-6 question guideline to yourselves. We always say with these discussions, we don't stick to those. If there's points that you want to make that don't fit those questions, feel free, because we want to solicit opinions that are broad, relevant, and just get the discussion going. So before I sort of open it up to the discussion, any questions from the committee of me and the work we've done to date or any other aspect of our work? Alan.
Betty, thank you through you to Ian. Or do you expect to want to chat with individual members of our CDEC committee as you work through the progress of your investigation report?
So I think I'm looking at Richard for additional support on this one, but I think the idea was to use this as an opportunity to get the input individually and collectively from the group. As we go forward and it gets into some of the directional things, depending on where that goes, I guess there is the potential to come back to the group as individuals or collectively to test some of that direction. But I think that I'm looking at Richard to confirm this, but I think the intent was to use this session today as a individual and collective consultation.
Ian's correct. We are on a very tight timeline with this. The provincial funding requires us to have the report completed by the end of the year. And so we're actually hoping to bring a report to County Council in November, which is 6 weeks away, which means we have to have it done in about 4 weeks. And so we need to be able to kind of move more quickly. We had received the funding and the ability to move on this project early in the year, but as you might well expect, things engaging in this exercise didn't necessarily seem a priority during March, April, May, or June, and so we delayed this process and consulted with the government about when we might be able to delay our report to. Although we were originally meant to deliver a final report in September for this project. So that's the timeline we're working with, and that's sort of what part of this process. So what we're hoping to do is engage the committee one-on-one and as a group through this time today to understand your perspectives on county economic development.
Dennis.
Question?
Dennis
Yeah.
first. Barry?
Yeah.
Dennis
Yeah,
first.
You want me to lead off with my opinion on this economic development at the county? If that's appropriate, I'll just say that in our community, our municipality, and our residents, they really see this group as the Trails KMP Trail Management Group, and this goes back, I guess, at least 10 years now that I've been involved, and we keep trying to get out of it to get into more stuff, but that's where we see it. And the original plan did call for the North and the islands to get other programs going, but we really haven't got beyond the South and Central Frontenac boundaries. And on the island side, we had talked about taking more action on other connections to the KMP Trail, whether it be the Wolf Island Canal or taking more ownership and control over the harbor between Marysville and Garden Island, but that has yet to happen. And I know when Bud Clayton was mayor, we went up a couple times and walked various sections of North Frontenac to say, well, here would be a beautiful little trail and an outlook on top of, I forget which hill it was, but you could see forever in all directions and beautiful. And we talked about doing things like that to attract more people into the north and the southernmost municipality. But I'd like to see us move beyond the KMP Trail and get into some real economic development to try to either get more tourists in, or in our case, with the new ferry, probably more residents to build homes here and move here and live here. Thank you.
Okay, Barry, you're next.
Yeah, I was just interested in whether the focus is going to be on augmenting current businesses or attracting other businesses. And I'd also like to follow up with Dennis's idea. We have a huge number of boats that are wintered on Wolf Island and various marinas, but we're a little short on docking facilities, places where people can land with boats. Big Sandy Bay attracts a fair number, but we recently had the NCC purchase of Staley's Point, which will be quite a recreation attraction, being public land eventually. And there may be opportunities for putting docking or launching facilities there. But I'm interested in whether we're talking about increasing current businesses or attracting others.
Okay, Ian, can you respond, please?
Absolutely. And Richard will appreciate this comment because this is probably the opening line when we did the shortlist presentation with him. Blackline as an organization are not economic development strategists. We don't look at whether the economic development campaigns you're running are the right ones. We're operational consultants to say, are you structured and set up to achieve the best that you possibly can for what your objectives are? So going back to the question of whether it's augmenting or attracting new businesses, I would be looking to Richard to say, well, what's your strategy? And we'll opine on whether you've got the right capacity, the right staffing, the right skills, the right relationships to be successful at that. So it's really about operationally, how can the county organize itself to be most effective at whatever it chooses its economic development focus to be? So we're not coming out of this, that's not one of the objectives, is to say we should focus on augmenting or attracting. The focus is really on saying, if you want to deliver, this is the role you should play within the ecosystem, and if you want to deliver this, this is the type of organization you should be, these are the type of priorities you should have for delivery.
Barry?
Yeah, follow-up question. Graham mentioned his specialty was data analysis. I'd be interested in what kind of data. Are we talking sociological data or business data? Data analysis covers everything. We could be talking about the life history of fleas.
I know I can comment. Graham's background, among other things, is around research. I would say research and data analysis. So taking information that's gathered on a particular business question, whether that's financial, whether it's demographic, whether that is broadly survey-based data, and analyzing that. Graham, did you want to opine a bit more?
Yes, no, that's right, and also data also falls within the qualitative sorts of consultation that we're doing now, and making sense of what different groups say, and developing themes and out of that.
Thank you.
Okay, someone else have questions? I would also like to reiterate what Dennis said about the North and Islands not receiving as much work on trails and things like that. I mean, in North Frontenac, we've been trying to get an observatory for 4 years, and we can't find any funding. And the walking trails. I mean, there are fantastic walking trails and even cycling trails in this area that need to be developed. So there is trail possibilities in here, up here, besides what we're doing with the KMP, which already exists and has been operational up here for as long as I've been here. So I think that, the KMP was very crucial to Central and South. The North and the Islands have been not receiving the funding towards working on economic development. In North Frontenac, we do have an economic development task force that has been working on these things, but some help with that type of thing would be great. So I think that there is more opportunity to work on trails here other than working on the KMP that already exists and is working. So I would like to see our walking trails developed, and everybody knows I want the observatory. So we have a telescope donated and everything. All we need is the building. So that's what I would like to say. Now, someone else want to comment from South or Central?
Could I speak?
Who's you? Yeah, Lisa?
Wilma?
Wilma, sorry.
Hi, I'm from South Frontenac, and I can understand how most of our focus appears to have been and has been perhaps in South and Central, because we do have a pretty interesting situation where most of the population is concentrated in those areas. And I agree with what Betty and Dennis have been saying, that perhaps we need to be making greater effort to be finding ways of including the North and the islands, because they are in their individual ways unique and have a lot to offer. But the problems they face, transportation alone to get from one end of the county to the other is enormous.
Mhm.
And I think that more focus needs to happen perhaps on things like transportation as well, to make sure that we keep, if we're going to run as a county, that we keep including and making a real point of including the ones that aren't as loud and noisy and have as many people in them as South and Central. I'm not I'm not unhappy with what's been done, but I do think we do have to reach out a little more to these other two outlying areas if we want to stay together as a county and function that way.
Thank you, Wilma. Anyone else have a comment? Richard?
Just based on the theme of the comments that we've just heard, one of the sort of questions that we're trying to understand is what is an appropriate role for the regional entity, the county, in economic development, and what is appropriate in other levels of government, either now or something to work to in the future. So what are doing small projects in every and different projects in every community due to their uniqueness? Is that something that we should be doing and supporting? Or should we be having a theme that we address slightly differently in other communities? Like what kind of facilitative role in economic development should we do when we develop a model to undertake these types of projects? So I mean, we've spoke about the trail, but there's a number of other projects that we've undertaken as well, and so what we're trying to understand is what kind of activities, trails or not trails or whatever, are the most appropriate kind of activities for us to be able to deliver across the region, and what kind of activities should we be leaving to the townships or the CFDC or the RTOs or other tourism entities? These are some of the things that we're trying to understand what we're best positioned to do. And so but your comments are have been recorded.
Comments? Alan?
Thank you, Betty. So I think one of the things what we're going through right now is trying to evaluate the economic benefit of the K&P Trail, and certainly depending on what the results turn out, that's certainly something which the county has done a fairly significant investment in, and because it spans really most of the members, other than currently North Frontenac, it's something that the county is probably best positioned to do that in trails because of its the breadth across the area. There may be other trails that the county can also advocate for, but I think generally the branding that the county has done, I think, is a key area to attract investment. But I think we need to be looking at what is our objective in economic development. Is it a tax base increase from a county's perspective? More people just visiting for the sake of being here, supporting individual businesses? And I think there's a very broad perspective on how we might consider them, and where we can get the best bang for our buck, and the staff resources that we have available to implement those things.
Thank you, Alan. Someone else?
Could I speak?
Wilma's up again.
Yeah.
I seem to be off the radar here. And I don't think we should forget that there were some very good program plans that weren't able to be carried out for Wolf Island this summer. The bus transportation to Big Sandy Bay, and some of I think it was a farm event that would have gone had it not been for COVID. So I think there were we have to keep in mind that there were some good attempts made to get some more things there in Wolf Island.
Mary?
I might follow up on a comment about Wolf Island as an attractant for hunters. International magazines have focused on Wolf Island as some of the best waterfowl hunting in North America. And we rarely hear about this. Some of it's hidden in private camps and that sort of thing. But when we get our new battery operated ferry, I think we'll see quite an uptick in both hunters and naturalists. I noticed recently that Prince Edward County had established a new federal conservation area, Ostrander Point, and one of the other points, Petrie, put together in a big program. They had 5 politicians on the shore being photographed with this initiative. And I think we have a great opportunity with the Kingston Field naturalists and bird watchers, students being taken out by their teachers into nature and learning more about the natural environment would be an asset as well. Maybe that could be combined with some additional trails on Wolf Island. Thank you.
Okay, Dennis?
Got on mute. There I go. Yeah, I agree with Barry. Hunting is very big. And the other thing that's really big here throughout a good part of the year is fishing. There's some of the best muskie fishing in the country here. And we do attract a lot of fishermen, and we attracted, whether good or bad, this year's big boat race, who all landed on the island for lunch. I think there was 40 some high-powered boats on this tour. Thank you.
The careful coordination of field naturalists and hunters could be an interesting issue.
And I would like to say that some of the things that I think we should point out to people is the natural beauty of the areas and the opportunities that presents to itself, including the field naturalists, artisans. We have a lot of artisans in the community also, and it's unique and serene, and that's why people are coming here. Is they're coming here for the old country, well, not old, but the country kind of life where they're not in the city and the hustle and the bustle and I think we really need to, articulate that better, that we are, we like the stargazing or the hiking on a quiet trail and with nature and seeing the different animals and the bears and the moose and the deer and everything like that. And I think we miss the mark in some ways of using what we have that doesn't cost us anything and make sure that we present that really well to people. Because I mean, we have people from all over the world coming to the observatory and even from Toronto, and they've never seen the stars. Yet they cost us nothing and we're promoting them. So I think in this area, we have a lot of unique features like that we're missing the mark on. And it would attract businesses because more people are coming. Comment, Ian?
I wonder if I can pose a question to the committee.
Most certainly.
If you think about the role the county's played to date in economic development, is it striking the right balance between what a county function should do and what a local economic development function should do? So is the county reaching too far? Is it not reaching far enough in how it supports the local municipalities?
Comments? Someone first? Alan?
Well, thank you, Betty. So I think as I indicated, I think the branding effort that the county has done, I think, has been very worthwhile, so that people do associate our brand with many of the things that have been mentioned in terms of the Betty commented on, in terms of our natural beauty around the various lakes, the accommodation things that people can take advantage of, food items along the way, and so I think it's certainly worthwhile to maintain the prominence of that brand to keep that attraction coming. And I'm not sure that watering it down too much to the local level will have the same impact as the county issue. But I guess it's since we can't be all things to all people, we do need to have a broad objective of what we want to develop out of economic development from the county. And then I guess to your point, Ian, is who's best to deliver on that. If the county is still the better choice for delivery, that's great. But if it's a local attraction, maybe it's a lower tier municipality that might be better positioned to make that effort to promote that attraction.
Comments? One of the things that I'd like to see, and which part of the county, it doesn't matter, is I think we need a resort kind of area for people to be able to come to a higher end, where some travelers are expecting that and they don't want the rustic. Something that suits the area, takes advantage of maybe cross-country skiing, and has enough area that they can promote some natural items too. And I know I've still got the thing from the Frontenac Center, which was, I don't know, 20 years ago, but that the North and Central were looking at that time. And something that we could have larger meetings at to attract people, because we're central between Toronto, Montreal, and Ottawa, that people could come to and relax and have a larger meeting or conference with rooms and things like that. I would like to see something like that in this area. It's embarrassing when you have a larger meeting and you have to take it outside of the area because you don't have any accommodations large enough to hold some of them. Now, I know we do have Circle K. It's not as well used as an adult kind of thing. Richard, comments?
I think Greg I think he's off your screen, so I just wanted to mention that he had his hand up. So,
Greg, sorry,
Greg.
Sorry, I can't see. I can't see you on my screen. Go ahead.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Sorry, I was a little late getting on. I had some technical problems trying to log on, so I really have missed the primary context of this. But I'm trying to go back to what was asked a moment ago about the county's role versus more local roles in developing our tourism. For me, there's a process here that needs to be somehow designed or better taken advantage of, and I think it happens at different levels. You know, I think the county has sort of an overarching role in its role with tourism over the 4 townships. But there also needs to be some grassroots type movements that happen in more localized regions of the county. And that's one of the things that we were trying to accomplish up here a year and a half ago, when we had our first tourism business conference. We were trying to get all the business operators, direct or indirect, together in one place so that we could create a movement out of it that would develop a bit of a vision and strategy for tourism, primarily for North, Central, Frontenac, and not just tied to those boundaries, but moving southward, more or less the 38-509 corridor, and wanting to include everyone in that: artisans, adventure tourism providers, accommodators, food and culinary, etc. And we created a small little movement out of that called the Rural Frontenac Tourism Group. And our role here is to add another element to the county strategy in working and developing things in a more expeditious kind of way. As Betty was saying a moment ago, it doesn't take much money to develop the kinds of things that we need to keep getting people's attention here. Experiential tourism, for the most part, takes very little capital investment. It just really takes the will for people to come together. And I've been saying for so long that in this area, that if you look at any tourism hot zones surrounding us, whether it's the Halliburton Highlands, Prince Edward County, Lanark County, etc., those areas have become hot zones largely because the industry has come together and collaborated together. And so when we had this conference a year ago, that's what we hoped would come out of it. But then after a year of trying to drag everybody along and trying to get everybody out of their own silos and to stop just focusing only on their own backyards, then we kind of realized that maybe some of this has to be driven more by private enterprise too, working hand in hand with the county, hand in hand with groups like the ones that we're developing here. So my own personal response to my own economic crisis with COVID, was to create this new business, Frontenac Trail Tours. And we have put it forth as a cycling tour business, but it's really not just that. It's really intended to be a platform. I've created this to be a platform to pull together people who want to work with me in creating a strategy for a trail economy. Yeah, it didn't grow as quickly as I'd hoped this summer, largely because I had to do it in a short time frame. I couldn't get all the accommodators I needed for the multi-night tours and all that sort of thing. But what we did accomplish was basically this. We've had tours that have gone from Charlotte Lake to Wolf Island. People have taken that tour and they're amazed by the quality of the trail from Central Frontenac to the island. They have loved the Blue Moose B&B, which I've been cooperating with on Wolf Island. We've been working together. We have exposed them to several artisans that are along the trail. We've exposed them to businesses like Food Less Traveled. And it'll just grow from there if we stay committed to this. But the real point I'm trying to make is that this business is intended to be a year-round business where we continually create experiential tourism endeavors by working with those that have those things to offer. So this winter, we're going to have accommodations and dinner packages for snowmobilers and ATVers. We're already getting that marketing piece going. We're going to be having snowshoe experience weekends. We're going to be having ice fishing experience weekends, fat biking weekends. The point that I'm trying to make in all of this is that in all the conversation that we're having, the piece that I keep missing here is that at some point, all the entities need to come together somehow and create an efficient strategy where the KNP and the trail economy around the KNP is sort of seen as the spine of the county that connects everything, that connects Wolf Island to north, that connects the businesses in that corridor together, so that we can have just a major series of endeavors, experiences, opportunities that just grow together and begin to collectively kind of create this persona that will keep people who travel here focused on who we are. Charlotte Lake is halfway between Toronto and Montreal. I've discovered recently that within a 4-hour radius of Charlotte Lake, there's 11.7 million Canadians. 1/3 of Canada lives within 4 hours of us. So for me, it's about marketing. It's about creative marketing and strategizing together.
Eddie, I just want to highlight that both Mary and Wilma have their hands up in case they're off their screen.
So we'll go with Wilma first.
I just wanted to ask Greg if he's making use of the In Frontenac logo and connection that the county has provided. Is that part of your group? And do you see that as being useful?
All. It's front and central to it all. I don't put out a post that doesn't have hashtag In Frontenac and hashtag KNP Trail in it.
Good, that's great.
I'm a Frontenac ambassador. Everything that I'm trying to do first and foremost is to keep this county promoted.
Okay, Mary?
Okay, so I think I'm going back to first principles and the original question, but what I'm hearing is, what's the correct balance between county strategic view and initiatives, township, and private industry? I think an example that I've been rolling around my mind is the spa in Glen Burnie and how the city dealt with that. So the comment was, well, we'd like a higher end facility in Frontenac County. Well, how does the county facilitate that? How does it make it so private enterprise doesn't have to jump through quite as many hoops as the spa in Glen Burnie did? So the question is, what does the county do best? And I think if the criteria of what they do best is keeping score by dollars invested in the 4 townships, I don't know if that's a good measure for what the county does best and what gives you the biggest bang for the buck. And I think that's what we're going to hear the consultants say today, or at least give us some ideas of what other counties and tourist areas have done. And I'd be really curious about how does Hastings County balance all their competing interests? You know, does Hastings County think that all the dollars go to Prince Edward County, which is a municipality now? That's what I'd like to hear, and I don't really know what the answer is. I think the consultants could really help us with that.
Ian, do you have some comments?
Not a satisfactory comment, I'm afraid. The outcome of our report will include the sort of questions that you're asking. And at my fingertips at the moment, I don't have those answers. We have spoken to each of them individually, and we have notes. But myself and Graham have not sat down and started to synthesize that and say, oh, look, if we look at Leeds and we look at Hastings and we look at Prince Edward, they all chose that route. That's an exercise we're doing over the next couple of weeks. So it is definitely part of what will be an input into supporting the county making a decision about that. What I always say about talking to peers is it's good to know what they did. It's more important to know why they did it. And that's been a key focus of the questioning, is understand why they made the choices they are, because you're not going to replicate those choices if fundamentally the underlying reason is different in the county. So it's not a satisfactory answer. Yes, it's included in the scope, but unfortunately I don't have those answers at my fingertips at the moment.
Okay.
Someone else?
Can I pose a Can I pose a
Allison.
question, Betty?
Yeah, most
we-
certainly.
We've talked a lot about tourism, and I think that sort of Mary and Alan have both brought up kind of the first bits of an interesting point, and that is where should our focus be? Should, moving in the next 5 years, should we be focusing on tourism? Is that regional branding and getting more visitors here the number one priority for us, or should we be shifting that focus to supporting the businesses that are here so that they can grow and expand and develop new products like Greg has done? Should we be shifting to bring more businesses here to try to cut some of that red tape, like Mary suggested with the Glen Burnie Spa, so we can get a big resort? Or should we be shifting to other economic development activities? If we look at the current resources in our department, there are only 2 of us. And as Ian said the other day, we've seen through interviews that there's not a clear priority. There's no 5 people that agree we should all be headed in this direction. Are there thoughts from the committee on what that main direction should be for us?
Alan?
Okay, Mary. So one of the things that I think the county supported to some extent was Cabinscape, and it was for members of the committee who might not have been aware of it. It was a group that provided small accommodations for people to typically take advantage of for an overnight or a couple of days in some fairly rustic conditions. But the results were quite surprising, that many of the locations were booked solidly months in advance for every single night, winter and summer. I think they had some concerns with their business model, but that might be something that the county could look at, supporting some of the existing businesses to look at replicating some of the what Cabinscape offered. Because clearly there was a strong market for it. And I think where we can support the businesses that currently exist in the county, it's a very positive thing. They're taxpayers. They have certain levels of employment they offer, despite many being mom and pop type of operations. But there's an opportunity for some growth in employment opportunities by working with our existing businesses to support them and make them aware of the opportunities that are out there. Because I think many of those seasonal businesses struggle greatly with the main. They're very busy in July and August, but struggle with the attracting visitors through the shoulder season. But I think the market is there. It just needs to be developed.
Lisa?
Sorry. I also agree that accommodations is an issue. Even permanent accommodations are an issue. So as a designer, to give you a little bit of background, I get approached all the time because I do a lot of secondary suites. So in the city of Kingston right now, I design 1 secondary suite a week, to give you a rough, which is a basement apartment. These could also be used for Airbnb purposes, whatever. We can't do them in County of Frontenac once you're outside of the city limits because the zoning bylaws don't allow it. And that's not going to, the zoning bylaws don't allow for things to be accommodated, such as Airbnbs, as easily as they could be under the city bylaws. And that might be something that maybe we need to support, is if we're going to support tourism, if there's nowhere for these people to stay, because at some point, the local B&Bs, like Greg's, are going to reach maximum capacity if you bring huge spas in and things like that. The other issue is that we aren't on city services, so it may not make sense to support large things like my understanding from the Glen Burnie spa is one of the bigger issues is water and sewer capacity, because there isn't. It's all private. So I know with the planning committee, they're looking at doing more communal services. and maybe some support towards that so that there can be one common huge septic and one common huge aquifer well serving a larger area might be something that helps accommodate these things. I don't know if there's some crossover there that we can look at, but right now we don't necessarily have the services or the bylaws to allow for some of the things that you were wanting to do necessarily.
And I know in Frontenac, in North Frontenac, we've worked on our bylaws that will allow a single dwelling on a residence dwelling to rent out. So I think the bylaws is definitely municipal. And that is some of the problems with some of the areas is the bylaws are obsolete to what's happening today. And the other thing I wanted to comment on was the internet. The amount of internet everybody has, attracting businesses to the area is great, but they have to have services, and especially internet, because businesses don't function basically without internet. So I think that, and I know that's being worked on the Eastern Ontario Leadership Committee and that, and it is being worked on, but that is one of the issues too. Lisa?
You are bang on the internet. So I think remote learning really drove home the lack of internet access out here. I'm very fortunate to happen to be on one of the WTC fiber optic lines, but I can't leave my house or move from this area to other areas in County of Frontenac because I don't have the internet that we have, and I need it for my business. So you are bang on there.
Okay,
Thank
you.
I can't even
Dennis?
use my cell phone in Sydenham.
Pardon?
I can't even use my cell phone at the house here in Sydenham. Dennis wants
Oh.
to speak.
Yes, Dennis.
Now I found the mic button. Yeah. So I was just going to say that we do have quite a few Airbnbs in our area that are rented out, but I wasn't aware there was any need for bylaws to encourage that. It's never come up in our municipality, and I don't recall that being discussed at the county council table either. So I'd like to understand that a little more, what it is we should be doing.
Richard, do you have any comments on that?
Perhaps I can bring a bit of an update to the accommodation study and some of the things that have happened and some of the things that we've discovered to the committee in December to kind of clarify a bit of what we're talking about here. Generally, the major issue is if somebody wants to build another structure on their property to rent out as an Airbnb, most of our bylaws don't allow that. And I'm not sure if that's the case on the islands. I'd have to, we haven't had it come up with us yet. So it will come soon, I'm sure, if it hasn't already. So that, but that's what North Frontenac has been working to address, and is a definite issue in South Frontenac. So,
Dennis?
Yes, I guess that's an issue we should be discussing with our planners, i.e. your direct manager, Richard. I don't know if you've had a discussion with him on that, but it hasn't come our way. It hasn't even been mentioned as an issue on the horizon that we should be working on.
We've mostly been working with the folks who have asked us to work on it. So North Frontenac asked us to support them on what is possible in the current framework and to clarify that. And so the plan, so Megan and I did some work on that last year with North Frontenac. But like one of our challenges is it's because there's 4 sets of bylaws and and sort of 4 different kind of community approaches to things. We can't design something in North Frontenac necessarily that's going to be applicable elsewhere, and so that adds to our workload and our planners' workload, who have a significant amount of applications that they're processing these days, because people are excited to do stuff right now. So anyway, I want to move. We can talk about that when I bring the report forward, and we can have a more robust discussion and make sure Joe's there for it.
Thank you.
But I think we should talk about, and one of the other kind of questions I wanted to ask to follow up to Allison's question is there any kind of traditional economic development activity or activity that we have been doing that we shouldn't be doing, that is not really like a regional economic development benefit for our region? Is there something that we should be anything that we should be avoiding?
Dennis?
I guess the one thing that would be helpful for us is whenever anything's being worked on by your group, that you engage our local people, because we've had a few things that have been done, but the council or staff didn't know about it till it either was over, was so well in the planning stage, we didn't have any input. So if there is something being worked on, whether it be farm tours or whatever, we should be engaged from the get-go.
Okay. I think one of the things that the county has done well is the ambassador program. I think that it's working and it's getting, well, hopefully when COVID's over, we'll be able to get together again and I'll be able to join. I think that's been really positive for getting businesses together and working on strategies together. One thing, and I don't want to say it in a negative way, I think the farm tours are a great success in attracting a lot of people, but maybe we need to do something. And I've always suggested, and I don't know how it would, we have the North Frontenac Back Road Studio Tour. I would like to see something about a artisan tour of the county, because I think there's a lot to offer that is hidden. And now I don't know how that would be done because it would take a while, but something like that helps promote all of the areas again, and not just specific areas. But I know the farm tours is a great program. So that's all I had to say. Someone else? Wilma, Greg? Can't see us.
I'm fine.
Anyone else have any comments on attractions or tours or anything that they can see? I know that they were working on Wolf Island with Big Sandy Bay and that unfortunately this year couldn't continue. But is there more that we can do for the county itself? Being the most northerly person, as you can tell, oftentimes because we are the least, I think we have the least population. I don't know if Wolf Island beats us or not, but we're the most remote area, I guess, of the county. And I mean, because we go to almost Calabogie or Frontenac Park, or not Frontenac Park, Bon Echo Park, and that some people forget that that we're up here.
Al has his hand up.
Alan.
Thank you, Betty. Perhaps, Richard, if it might be appropriate to ensure we have contact information for Ian. So if the members of the committee do have further comments that, as we left the meeting, that think, oh, I wish I should have mentioned that, might be constructive to be able to pass those on to Ian over the next few days or weeks.
Okay, Richard.
Okay.
Turn yourself on.
We can do that. There we go. Got it. Yeah, that's no problem at all. is sort of stemming off of the activities that we were talking about. You know, when we look at the charter, which essentially guides our economic development, we have some measurement in there. And I guess like when we're looking at objectives, are the objectives that we're going for, do they remain relevant and clear, or do our activities need to shift because our objectives have changed? Just to pick a few of the measurements in this document, increased food and beverage business and the supporting infrastructure, more people living and working in Frontenacs, decreased poverty, increased partnerships, increased sense of community pride, more diverse and larger tax base, increased year-round tourism, diversity in demographics, more kilometers of trail, more opportunities for self-employment. These are the things that were laid out in as a measurement in the 2015 charter. Are there other things we should be looking to measure, or other objectives we should be looking to reach towards and having a measurement attached to, even if the strategies to get there are diverse?
Dennis?
Yes, just to add on to Betty's artisan comment, I think that's an excellent idea, because we have, I know in our community, a lot of artisans that probably even more active than the farming. Most farmers now have gone to cash crops, and in our area, not really much market gardening at all even. So that would be good if we could organize some planning. And there was just this announcement from Lisa MacLeod, the minister involved in this area, and she's announced money for $50 million to promote festivals and events across Ontario. So it might be something we could get an application in to at least start with, maybe one or two such things in 2021 to promote our artisans across Frontenac County.
Thank you, Dennis. Anyone else have any comments?
Ian or Graham, do you have any other questions related to conversations you've had, or anything you wanted to follow up on, lines of thought that we should have the committee consider before we finish up?
I'm just looking through the outline question. I think we've covered most of them, to be honest, Richard, and your last one around the measurements was really probably my closing question, is how do we measure success?
Anyone have any comments on how to measure our success? What do we see as a success? I see as a success that we have year-round tourism, and that our businesses don't just have to count on the summer to be able to survive the winter, because I operated a business like that, and it's not a lot of fun waiting for April or May to get here and start getting some money coming in again. I think that is a big measure of success. And I think that some of the things that we can do to accommodate that have been discussed. I think attracting more people, more people year round, and that type of thing. The activities that Greg had discussed would all help enable businesses to be able to do that. Anyone else? Anybody else have their hand up, Richard? Oh, Dennis. Okay, Dennis, go ahead.
And Wilma.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Betty, and I think another success factor would be getting the local municipal council to recognize that there is a real value add with the work that the Frontenac Economic Development Department is doing, and just be kept aware. Perhaps, I don't know if it's monthly or quarterly reports, what's been worked on in each of the municipalities, so that everybody's engaged and gets behind the initiatives.
Yep, and I think if every municipality had an economic development task force or some kind of group that's working also in conjunction with the county to make sure that things that can be done in their area are being done. Excuse me.
May I say, in some ways, Frontenac County is a microcosm of Canada in the way it's geographically laid out. And I think the very continued existence of the county, which has at times been a very fragile entity, argues that something is working, because the county is what, like the central government, tries to tie everything together. And I think it's a difficult position to be in. And the fact the county has continued says something for what's happening, and economic development is a part of it.
Anyone else have any comments?
I have a note, Betty, just in response to Dennis, the email that you brought up about the 9 million. I looked at that this morning when it first came out, and unfortunately that fund is for events that have a minimum cash operating budget of $50,000, which is so outside the scope of anything we've been able to put on in Frontenac, unless we had a miracle or something totally changed gears. I don't think we'd be eligible for that fund, which is unfortunate right now, but it also goes to highlight that a lot of these things that come out are not geared toward rural municipalities like us.
Yeah, as with many grants and everything else, a lot of it isn't geared to, unfortunately, isn't geared to our area. And I mean, on the municipal level and or on a county level. So that makes it difficult sometimes to be able to do things. Thank you, Allison, for that information. Anyone else have any comments? If not, I would like to thank Ian and Graham for participating in our meeting and listening to us. Hopefully we have helped add information to your report. And if there's anything else, anyone can send it to Ian. Richard will send us contact information. If you have any other comments, please send them forward to Ian in the next few days. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Graham.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Okay. So communications, I don't see any other business. We've discussed the announcement this morning by Lisa McLeod. Is there any other information on that anyone that wanted? Hi, Wilma, I see you now. Any information that anyone else would like to add on that announcement? Dennis?
I think Allison answered it. It looks like it. Again, catering to bigger centers, maybe Prince Edward County with their wine industry could put something on, but
yeah, that's right.
50,000. I don't know if there's that many artisans up in the North Frontenac that we could do something.
Oh, we on our last year on the tour, I think there was like 30 artisans at least. So, you know.
Could they raise 50,000 to put on a super duper one or?
No.
No.
We had a smaller one this year outside, so there wasn't as many of us this year. So, okay. Next meeting is December 10th at 10 a.m. Other than that, I would ask for a mover for adjournment. Someone, Lisa? Barry, second? Okay. Did you have something to say? Barry?
I was
Yes.
hoping that we'd get some information on the trail and the off-road vehicles through the Rona, and what is the current status of the survey for input? Current users, landowners, etc.
Okay,
We're going to see the survey. I haven't seen the survey yet.
So the survey, in which way do you mean you haven't seen the survey, I guess, Barry? Like you haven't seen it advertised yet?
Yes.
Okay. So the survey was launched 2 weeks ago, and it has been distributed on social media. So it's been spoken about on county and on KMP Trail social media channels. It's received over 160 responses so far, and it continues to gather responses. I haven't had a chance to look at any of the initial findings in the responses. I was off work last week on vacation, but the survey has been launched, and we've gotten, I would say, a good number of responses so far, and we'll continue to promote it over the course of the next few weeks. One of the challenges we have, and I'll be sending an email tomorrow directly to businesses that I know are located along the trail, because we're getting a number of residents responding, but we're not getting a number of businesses who are located along the trail filling it out. So we need to make sure we're capturing that information from the businesses as well.
Mary?
I'd just like to add, I've seen it on several of the social media sites, and so I think you're doing a great job getting it out there, Richard.
All right, thanks, Mary.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, and I assume that, will we get the results of that survey at the December 10th meeting, or will that be too fast?
Well, considering how many considering how many we have, and it's been to close on the 30th of November, I think you're going to have to wait to the new year to take a look at it. I expect that we may have close to 300 responses or more by the end of this. The key is to every time there's a social media post, we get a bump of about 20 more responses. So we have to keep putting it out there. And like I said, with the businesses, sometimes we have to take a more direct approach and say, "Hi, this is for you." So we'll go from there.
Okay, so that'll probably be in our February meeting. I would think that.
Yeah, we may have to call a meeting in January to take a look at all of this. So
yes,
that's. But we'll
address
discuss that in December. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'll definitely bring an accommodation study kind of update to the based on our conversation today in December.
Okay, and also was asked about the Trans-Canada agreement. If when you bring the survey results, if we could get the Trans-Canada agreement at the same time, so we have all the information together.
That's right. When we bring a report forward with the information, we'll have appendixes with the context attached to it.
Okay, does that work then?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for the question, Barry. And we are adjourned. So everybody have a great day, and we will see you December 10th.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.